23 minutes past 7 is your time, and welcome along to the deep dive on Capi Talk 100.4 FM. A special good evening to all of our listeners who are joining us on our Facebook platform. So we are also streaming this particular interview live on Facebook, and we do invite you to be part of that conversation at Capi Talk FM. Is how you can join us live and online, but you can also send us messages in the studio 0719 100 404. It is time for the exchange as we continue with our culture and development series. This week we talk about culture and single motherhood. As always, joining me in the conversation is my guest, Colin Asani. Colin, good evening and welcome. How are you? How was the weekend?
As you can see, I'm smiling. So I'm okay. The weekend was fine. Everything was fine. I can't complain.
Because no one is listening, or because
passing.
Lovely.
So all is well.
Lovely. Good to have you once again. And you know what? I know we were talking about this off air. About the topic that we're talking about today: cultural perceptions towards single mothers in Zimbabwe. A big one. I have to take a deep breath before we get into this one. But you might want to know that, maybe in preparation for this conversation, we also took a look at the perspectives around single fatherhood as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an important conversation as a follow-up to that.
Yes.
So let's start it off. Is there a particular perception that single mothers in Zimbabwean society generally receive? How are they viewed or perceived generally in Zimbabwe?
Okay, thank you so much. You know what? To begin with, before we get into the nitty-gritties of our conversation, you need to understand that, culturally and going backwards in our history, emphasis was placed much on marriage. And by virtue of being married that way, Munaibato respect. So, moving forward now, you realize that as we go on and on, much emphasis was placed on marriage and family setup, culturally speaking, within the context of Zimbabwe. So for that reason, a married woman, is actually respected. You see. But the society that we are living in Zimbabwe is not taking into cognizance. There are a lot of factors that are breaking that family setup, those marriages. Then we end up having single mothers. No. So for that reason, with that perception that when you are married, you are respected. Single mothers, they are now facing societal stigma. There's a lot of name calling, like, husband snatcher. They are viewed as women with, high immorality, These are cultural perceptions that were created, which in modern times, people are not giving cognizance to those what existing cultural norms and values, which are now, isolating single mothers. So we are living in a society where value is placed on marriage, where value is placed on family setup at the expense of single mothers. So that's the society that we are living in Zimbabwe.
I will obviously hasten to ask that the emphasis on family, on children, on the nuclear setup as a cultural precept, is this beneficial? Is it harmful? Where is it coming from? Maybe let's rationalize around where that comes from culturally, and how that has changed now.
Thank you so much for that question. You know what? I talked about a family setup. A family setup where there is a husband as the head of the family and the wife as the help, culturally speaking. That was the setup that was established. Everyone must follow this route. So the culture was ignorant on the part of, taking cognizance, the part of single mother. So that setup is the only setup that is recognized. That is the reason why you see there are negative, comments, there are judgments, there are stigmas, there are certain stereotypes that are accorded to single mothers. Why is it so? Because the society did not take into cognizance factors that can influence or that can destroy a marriage setup, which is now leading to what? To these single mothers. So that's the issue. Yeah.
So a case of toxic positivity.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We'll come back to that one. But Colin, let's look into some of the cultural beliefs or traditions that are influencing these attitudes. The clear attitude that you've said. A bias. Aspersions that are cast on single mothers in Zimbabwe. Culturally, they are viewed negative.
I talked about the existence of, the emphasis on marriage. So we have got what we call traditional family values. These traditional family values, they have been created in such a manner that there is marriage, there is a family structure that must be followed. A woman must get married. That's the setup that is culturally acceptable. So single mothers now are viewed as people who have deviated from the norm. So when you deviate from the norm culturally, you run the risk of being, of name calling. Nowadays, returned soldiers, husband snatch. So single mothers are facing such problems because of the traditional family values that put a strict emphasis on marriage and proper family setup where there is a husband and a wife. And also, you'd realize that there is the role of the extended family. What do I mean? In our culture, we have got the immediate family, we have got the extended family. So, what is happening, or what was happening there, is that when a woman gets married, she gets divorced, she will come back to the parents. So people will then, the extended family will say, this one failed to sustain a marriage. This one is because of immorality, she couldn't hold her house well. That is the reason why she returned home. So by so doing, you have been isolated from the family, because people are of the belief that you are not morally upright to actually, to have a proper family setup. So single mothers with that now, it is actually the existence of these values they are now shaping perceptions within the society. When people now have a certain way of how they view single mothers, but is it so? These are the misconceptions that we need to discuss, so that the single mothers will not continue to have stigma and stereotypes. Rumbi, we need to mention this thing. Women are in a very serious predicament, in the sense that at home, family setup, you are viewed with skepticism, that you have failed to have a proper family yourself. At work, we men, we think that whenever you see a single mother, you can just get whatever you want and live here like that. You are seeing someone who is lost. But is it true? These are the misconceptions that people have. So a single mother is facing numerous challenges at home, at work, among the colleagues, because your friends, when you once married, then you get divorced, your friends will say, hey, this one failed to sustain their marriage. And to them, you are now a threat. They will view you as a threat to their own marriages. So it's isolation and isolation.
You become a pariah.
Exactly,
Cultural pariah.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
And I love how you're saying that there are common stereotypes and misconceptions that need to be unpacked. And we certainly will be doing that in this program. But before we get to that, Colin, let's, maybe take a few steps back and really look at, some of the fundamental beliefs that are forming these perceptions. In what ways do religious or spiritual beliefs impact these perceptions of single mothers?
Number one, in that aspect, we have got what we call moral and ethical standards. This moral and ethical standard, in the realm of religion and spirituality, You know, like for example, let me give you an example of Christianity. Christianity emphasized much on marriage. Have you seen people at their various Christianity denominations? The pastor will be preaching, it's good to get married, you know, God will bless you, you know, such sentiments. So everyone in that church, you know, will grow up valuing marriage. I must get married no matter what. You see, so that belief, it's actually morally upright for a person to get married. So at church, the you know, religious leaders, they play a critical role in shaping perceptions towards a particular thing, and in this particular instance, marriage. Every you know, every young lady in the church, you know, will listen to the pastor and will be vying to have a marriage, because it's something that is, you know, said this is the right, this is the pathway to follow.
It's an aspiration.
Yes, everyone, you know, will be vying. Let me have my own marriage. So now in that church, what normally is happening is that when you become a single mother now, I've seen in some churches that I've visited, you know, there are sections that, you know, single mothers said, this one is the section for single mothers, then the married ones will be there, you know, and the young ladies will be there. So that isolation is actually existing even in churches, because in that particular church, the married woman will be viewing those single mothers as straight, thinking that they are, you know, they have immorality, that they can take their husband. But is it true? It is just you know, a misconception that was created, that we believe that single mothers, they are not morally upright. It is a misconception that we need to, you know, to interrogate as we'll be moving with our discussion. And there's a perception of sin and redemption.
Let's talk about that. Sin and redemption. Good punish, and there's been.
But you were, you know, you were not morally upright.
So and this is punishment.
Yes, and as a result, you failed to sustain your marriage. So you are now having this, you know, punishment as a single mother. So, you know, people are.
It's shocking.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, it's disheartening. And, you know, as it is, you know, people are naturally, they are hoodwinked to think that this is the actual thing. This person was bad. But if we interrogated what led to her being a single mother, we are not cognizant of all those factors. What we are focusing on is seeing a single mother who is not morally upright, who is a husband snatcher, who is dependent, who is a parasite. You know, these are the misconceptions that are there in the society that we are living in. Even in church, like we are saying, amene zvadzakaita ikoko saka ipunishment chacha munhu angambosiwe nemurume as beautiful as she is. These are misconceptions dziri muvanhu. You see, and you see, we talked about religious leadership. Like I said, they play a fundamental role in shaping certain perceptions. Mufundisi akaparidza achishora kana kuti, for example, kuti kuva single mother kuite kunokonzera nemusikanzwa what, you know, people will continue to develop that stigma kuti vanhu ava vaita. But is it true? So
no,
there are certain stereotypes, you know, stigmas, you know, that led to, you know, in most communities, single mothers, they are facing discrimination, marginalization, and isolation. They are being isolated from the rest of the community. Why? Because they are single mothers.
Hey, when we exist in a country with a constitution that talks about equality, that talks about freedom of association, that talks about non-discrimination, yet we still have this. I know we'd already started to get into it, but let's deep dive, you know, let's dive in deeper into unpacking and busting a lot more of those misconceptions, the myths and the stereotypes and misconceptions that many people hold around single women, single mothers in Zimbabwe.
You know, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of misconceptions, like you are saying. And the number one, single mothers, they are viewed as irresponsible. Why are they viewed as irresponsible? Because they say the society thinks that the condition that they are as single mother, it is because of irresponsibility. And the others, they think that they made wrong decisions, so they are suffering from their irresponsibility. It is a belief amongst the people. It is a belief within the society that we are living, that single mothers are responsible for the condition that they are. Is it true?
Not entirely, no.
Yes. So why am I continuing asking you this is that we also need to, correct some of these misconceptions so that we have a society where people live peaceful, where people accommodate each other. And another one is that, single mothers, they are most people, they think that they are lazy and independent. It starts from the family. Where that single mother is staying.
I'm shocked, but I think yes, cook.
Yes,
Tell
they
me.
say that these people are lazy. They are very dependent, But that person has got a kid or has got kids. She's trying to make sure that the kids eat, they bath, they have the basics. But to the rest of the family, they will be viewing you as a burden. And to the society in general, you are lazy and dependent. And that's when you see, tend like, I'm a parasite, I am a single mother, I don't need, to the extent that even in the society, people, they actually, they fear to date single mothers. Hey, Akomana, it is a misconception. Are you following?
I'm following.
Yes.
Colin,
So,
I'm
this,
following.
and people think that single mothers are less morally upright.
Than their married counterparts and unmarried counterparts.
Yes. So, like I was saying, that when you see a single mother, you think that this one is an easy target, because you think that person is loose morals. That person is an easy target. Is an easy go. You can do whatever you deem necessary with that person. That is the mentality that we have in Zimbabwe. Everyone, whenever he sees a single mother, this one I can do something. So that mentality is actually placed the single mother, or that perception is placed the single mother on a very serious predicament. At work, in the community that they live, So, and another misconception again, which deserves mention, is that single mothers, they cannot give proper guidance and care to the kid.
Hey.
Why
So
that?
you're even irresponsible in terms of the child.
Yes, your child for that man. The society thinks that the reason why you are single is because you cannot stay with a man properly. You have got loose morals. So for that reason, how can a person with loose morals, take care and protect the child? So people will say, no, this child will grow in a toxic environment because the single mother is always bitter. These are societal creations. These are the beliefs that people have. These are the perceptions that people have towards single mothers.
I just have to pick my jaw up from the floor. After hearing some of these, and these are common misconceptions.
Yes,
these are common stereotypes.
And another, disillusioning misconception is that single mothers are responsible for their children's misfortune. People think that whatever led to the death of that particular marriage, if the woman was married, was because of her character and behavior. So she is responsible for the misfortune of the children because the father had to run away because of her character and behavior. So it is a thinking. It is it's a societal creation, like I said. So these are the misconceptions, the general misconceptions that people have towards single mothers.
And what sort of impact do these beliefs, do these misconceptions, do these stereotypes have on single mothers?
Rumbi, to be very honest with you, single mothers are actually, in a very serious predicament, like I said, in Zimbabwe, because, from all angles, they are being, they are being attacked from all angles. No, morally, they are not upright. Even at work, she cannot, some cannot be given an influential position at work because they say, no, this one, if she comes to close with the bosses, our husbands will go, So they are facing a lot of challenges, at work, socially, economically, women are suffering. Single mothers are suffering because, look, she's a single mother. She's trying to fend for the family. We don't know whether the father is responsible or not, we don't know. But she, as a person, trying by all means to make ends meet. But with these pressures, so they are in their own fight. They are fighting a very serious battle, which needs the very same society to help them to get out of that predicament. Because, in other words, we can simply say that single mothers are isolated because of the beliefs that we have, because of the cultural norms, the perceptions that are there, that surrounds the lives of single mothers. So they're actually suffering left, right, center.
And it's so sad to hear that. And I'm so happy that we're having this conversation to unearth the misconceptions, to talk about solutions and recommendations, which is something we're going to do before the end of the program. But one thing is for sure, it all ends, and it seems that single women, single mothers are under fire.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets interesting, Colin. I remember there was a time where traditionally, Shainzi, stay in your marriage no matter what. But we are now at a point where there's a lot of awareness about people's rights. Even your family members will say, "Mwana webu, mwana wangu, unofile, leave this toxic relationship." Maybe there's domestic violence happening.
Exactly.
Maybe there are issues that endanger the mother and the child.
Yes. I wanted to talk about that. It's now a modern society that we are living in which we have got everything that we can use to communicate. When your husband beats you, for example, you can take a picture. There, I have been beaten. You show your relatives. Even if they say we cannot decide, matters of the heart, they cannot do anything. But they will advise you to leave this marriage, otherwise you get killed. It's now a modern society that we are living in. But long back there, people couldn't do that. To the extent that in the marriages, in the name of you see. So nowadays, there are some things that we need to change so that they can move in tandem with recent developments that are happening in our community.
Because it would seem, society is, what we're talking about, the change, but the cultural perceptions have remained the same.
Yes. I want to talk about, we are going to talk about some challenges that single mothers face, specific challenges.
Yes.
But before we go there, there's stigma and isolation and discrimination. Washkapa company, for instance, you are looking for a job. Then your CV indicates that you're a single somebody.
But
but what we do, we elicit for information to know, is this person married or not? But imagine, you're a single person, you're a single mother, HR and cards. Bange murizo kambani, murumu wake, anamupota chepa, and that single mother is very beautiful. Akutone kwase amuna atoyazi ta husband's nature. But is it so? Munu innocently. She's coming to look for a job. But perception, these people, they are not morally upright. What disregard on the grounds of being a single man?
So is there, and I mean, culturally, I know that this exists. You would know better what to call it, but I know that in our chinos one now zakawanda kana parike paparika pana mai guru pana mai nini, there's always competition, enmity, jealousy between women culturally, and it seems to have been almost fanned. It's culturally acceptable somehow. I want you to guide me on this.
Yes.
Are we saying, culturally, where does that come from? This, a sense of entitlement by older women or other women or married women? Is it insecurity, and is it fueled by culture?
We cannot point that to culture specifically, but it is the nature of women. Women, yes, it is the nature of women that they view each other as competitors, as threats, and you have got that sense of entitlement. Where it starts from. We grew up in a society where some emphasis was placed on a marriage set up where there's one wife, one husband. You see, so by that, a woman will say, "This is my husband alone," and you see, and the pattern entitlement. Saka, because another lady trying to outmaneuver you, there is war. And if you ever seen, correct me if I'm wrong, when you move in town there, how many women have you seen commenting each other that you are dressed properly, you look beautiful? Women, they don't give each other compliments.
It depends on which side of town. I mean, that's lovely. Where did you get that handbag? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because of modernity, it's not happening. But, I want you to agree with me. Women, they don't give each other
I
compliments.
disagree. I disagree.
Why?
I disagree.
Take a snip survey.
I don't know, listeners. Please help me with this. Women empower other women. This is my experience.
Women empowerment.
Sure.
Women to women.
Okay.
I'm not disregarding that.
Mm.
It's there, but you know, when it comes to issues to do with love, marriage, and the family setup, women, they are jealous. They don't want to share because it's something. Chawaninga wasina kukura wachi ichiri right bit. Saka anenge ane entitlement. This is my husband. Saka your husband ayada kuti ada kunzwa kumukadzi. You will not accept that because we are not groomed that way, culturally speaking. You see, but when we grew up in a setup where there is, where the society accepts polygamy, to you it would not be a problem.
It's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you see.
I just wait my turn, and
and it's perfect like that. But man, if it's something new to you, there's going to be war, because I'm trying to introduce something that you have never seen in your life, and that you don't accept. You see. Yeah.
Let's move on to the challenges, the specific challenges that single mothers are facing in Zimbabwe around social acceptance and support.
The first one is limited family support, family and community support. Not all single mothers are working, formally employed or doing businesses. Some are on their knees. They can't do anything. So that person is at a parent's home. You see, the parents now are now having that task again of taking care of her and the kid or the kids. So with that perception that these are returned soldiers who have come back to destabilize peace here, there's limited family support. And already we are talking about at family level. Community already would already isolated you to know you failed to sustain your marriage. You'll be kept aloof from the society. You are a misfit. You are a social misfit when you are a single man. So these are some of the challenges that they have. They do not have limited family support. Support morally, support financially. So you are not talking about support of buying groceries. That person needs emotional support. Maybe should have encountered problems before. That person needs to be supported. You see. And another one is that economic hardship. That person is trying to work for the kids. Maybe the father is not responsible, is not taking any part. That woman is facing a lot of hardships economically. Trying to go to work, facing problems again and again because she's a single mother, trying to pay school fees for the kids, and when you are living in an environment where there are economic hardships, so they cannot evade that. So these are some of the issues that they can also face. And another one, which is very important, psychological stress. We are not going to delve much into the reasons why the marriage ended or so. Maybe that woman was facing gender-based violence, abuse, and so forth. So when that person now leaves the husband, she needs support because she'll be having a lot of psychological stress and discrimination because that person is stressed. We are not supporting them, financially, emotionally. She's dejected to the last. So they need support. So, and another one is also, rejection, social rejection. The society is not accepting you. You are a single mother, but they are viewing you with skepticism. So these are some of the the challenges that they have. And at the same time, you are having psychological stress. You are facing economic hardships. You are facing social rejection. You are facing all sorts of challenges. And at the same time, there is caregiving responsibility that you have as a woman.
Unpaid care.
Yes. So it's a burden that is on a single mother that she is carrying every day of her life. So if the society remains like this, we are also creating another environment where there are toxic people. Remember, when we started our conversation, we talked about, healthy people mentally. People who can participate in our development trajectory.
Absolutely.
Yes, for the betterment of the Republic of Zimbabwe. But when we are having people who have got psychological stress, people who have got mental health issues, we cannot go anywhere. So this is the issue. That is the reason why I have decided to talk about single mothers, because they have got serious problems that they are facing because of them being single mothers.
Yeah. It's definitely quite difficult to hear, and it's definitely quite sad to note the realities are embedded in everyday life for single mothers. And looking at the sheer numbers, it's something needs to be done. Moving us on to the very very important part in our conversation, Colin. In your opinion, solutions, recommendations that can help shift cultural perceptions to be more accepting and supportive towards single mothers before we hear from our listeners.
The first thing that we need to do, Rumbi, as a country, we need to emphasize much on public education and awareness. To educate people that, to have community-based programs in rural areas and urban areas. These are human beings. Let's accept them. Let's work with them. Let's collaborate with them. Let's support them. Let's help them. Let us include them in all aspects of life so that they can survive. They did not choose to become single mother.
But even if they did.
Yes, even if they did, but they are human beings.
Yes.
There are certain rights. There are certain benefits that they must be given. So let us that can only get to the community through public education and an awareness campaign. We will engage the community to accept them as people, not to continue isolating them. So number one is public education and awareness. Number two, we need to promote positive role models.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of single mothers who are doing well in various circles. So we need to take those women as examples. We flag them on all various social media platforms, all media platforms, so that people will know that there is nothing wrong with being a single mother, but how a person lives their life is the first thing that is very important.
Oh, amazing.
Because you agree with me. You go anywhere in the banking sector, in this media realm, anywhere you can think of, they are single mothers who are doing very well.
Absolutely.
Who are doing exceptionally good.
Yes.
They must be given leading roles. They must be given managerial roles. They must be given opportunity to interact with anyone. By so doing, we are promoting them as role models. Even the society will say, okay, this a single mother can be a church, a leader. People drawing inspiration from her because she would have demonstrated that she is morally upright. Contrary to the misconception that we're talking about. And also we need to have legal and police support. It is very important. We need to have police frameworks that support single mothers. Because if that lacks, we are not going anywhere.
I know that in South Africa they actually offer it's like a payout every month.
Yes.
To single mothers.
Yes, even in Botswana.
And in the UK as well,
yes,
unemployment benefits.
Yes, they've got that system. So going forward, these are some of the issues that our policymakers should think of. And then lastly, economic empowerment. Whenever we think of giving people capital to do projects, let's prioritize single mothers. They need that help. So in a nutshell, I think these are some of the solutions that we have.
Good solutions indeed that will bring about hopefully a complete and comprehensive solution. We've got a couple of messages coming in from our listeners. Ray says it's really okay. They say yes, no one has ever emphasized concubines in church as uptake for single mothers, but the patriarchs in the Bible took them in. Okay, thanks, Ray, for that. My Prince says we also have married women who have loose morals. So that's something for you to just think about. This one is coming from Una, who says a young girl gets pregnant and is chased away from home. The boy steps up and accepts his responsibility. Sometimes his parents also chase him away as well. Then tragedy strikes and one parent is left to care for the child. They're also saying the biggest misconception of single parenthood is that he or she is divorced, had a child out of wedlock. Not every single parent is single by choice. Some single parents do not have a choice. Worse still, if the child is disabled or chronically ill, imwe message kubva kuna ns flower ari kuti mhandi yemukadzi rumbi. Mrs. Mountain Bromley says, how you rumbi kashoma kuti vakadzi vasimidzirane. He's right. Okay. I think okay, this is somebody saying phone calls to hear other sides. Okay, no, the phone lines are open if you would like to participate. 831-0719-100-404. Here to hear all views. Kune vamwe vari kunzwa kunge vasina kunzwikwa pano asi tinotambira. Do call us. We're about to come to the end of the program, however, but we will take as many calls as we can before we get to the top of the hour. So the totality of that. You've heard the issues raised by listeners' concerns. What do we then say moving forward and putting that all together?
Like there's one who said that single mothers did not choose to become single. So as a society, with the cultural norms, the beliefs that we have, I think we need to create an accommodative environment that accepts single mothers as equal as we would accept the married people. In that setup, we have a peaceful environment. We have an environment in which everyone can interact with each other at the same footing. If we do that, we have a society that is ready to prosper.
I was going to ask how long that will take and when we're going to get there, but it might be a difficult question to answer.
You know what, Rumbi? Thank you for that question. These issues, issues to do with culture, they are not issues that can be solved overnight. It's a process. But it's a process that requires positive mindset. That we have an anomaly that we must correct. As a people, we need to have a positive mindset, but it doesn't happen overnight. It is a process.
Wow. The time is never adequate. We always run out of time, but I think it's a good place for us to leave the conversation. Indeed, a lot of work for us to do, Colin, as members of the society, to uphold positive cultural norms and disregard the harmful ones. So we were taking a look at some of the perceptions and the impact, the harmful impact that it has on single mothers and single motherhood and single parents in this country. Many thanks to my guest, as always, Colin Asani, shedding the light on this one, and to all of you for your interactions. So please, before we pass judgment, before we stereotype, before we feather a misconception, please do remember that you could be wrong and you are really robbing someone of a fair chance. So thanks so much to my guest, Colin. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and we certainly will continue to talk more about culture and development in our segment next week.
Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Wonderful. Well, that's the end of our show. With that, the time is exactly 8 o'clock, and it's time for the news.
That may present challenges in the investment process.